Newcastle sporting director Ross Wilson has put his hat into the ring for multiple targets for Newcastle United, and we're wondering, what does it all mean? How is Newcastle's possible team for 26-27 season shaping up? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea away.
All right, all right, all right. How are you guys all doing? I hope you guys, everybody is well. Everybody is having whatever day you've had, or maybe you're about to start your day. Maybe you're waking up and you're about to go to work, about to go to school. Depends, where in the world you are. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me, and so God bless you guys for that. I've had a jumbled start to the show all of a sudden, but I am looking forward to tonight. We've got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about the various transfer bids that Newcastle have made. Newcastle are absolutely all over the news in terms of bids for players as well as players possibly exiting. Who would have known that having a sporting director you all of a sudden makes your club a lot more active in the transfer window? I'm telling you, it's proving to be very difficult to keep up with Mr. Wilson in terms of everything that he's doing. But we are here, and I've got tons of news and tons to be speaking about. So we're going to go through the news. I had to do a bit of like a strategic exercise as well in terms of the overall team, from the forwards to the midfielders to the defenders and to the goalkeepers, to see, yes, James, I have fixed you. To see how things are shaping up. I'm very curious to see what you guys in the chat think of it. And then we've got 2 scouting profiles that I'm looking forward to doing with you guys. So, as always, folks, looking forward to doing this with you. Always, I'm pretty excited about tonight because I'm very keen to get you guys' perspective on things. I was a bit worried about even starting the show because the news is coming thick and fast for Newcastle. And I thought, if I've got to put one more thing, I've got, I don't know, 20, 30 slides. I'm thinking, do I have to make it 40 if I keep on looking at X? I don't know. But we're here, and as always, folks, I want to first of all say, and I'm going to put a post out on it tomorrow, we've reached 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 subscribers, guys. Toon Tactics TV has got 1,000 subscribers, and I want to say an absolute thank you to all of you guys. You guys are the stakeholders in this channel. You are the lifeblood of this channel. Otherwise, it'll just be me talking to myself or to my family, to my wife and child who watch the show. So thankfully, it's not just them anymore. I'm joined by you, and it's because you keep on liking, you keep on subscribing, you share the channel, you invite other people to come and watch it. Our chat is always buzzing. We had a 3-hour show on Tuesday with Bobby Fairview, and the chat was ringing off from the beginning and to the end. And folks always love to come on my channel. I always talk about I'd enjoy coming up on my channel because of the chat, because of all you guys are doing. So I want to give a big credit to you guys for all that you're doing. So we're on 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we'll continue to move on and to get onto 2,000 subscribers. And so, big thank you to you guys. Absolutely big thank you. Another person to say big thank you to. Wobojo, good to see you. Got a new, I don't know what you call it, icon there as well. Looking good as well. Hey, Phil in the chat. Hey to you. So Wobojo says, like Liverpool with those contract renewals. He said, like Liverpool with those contract renewals, Phil, you are getting used to being late. Do you know what? I can only laugh, and I can only give a humble apology. about that. I can't even. I haven't even got a reply because it's so true. It's funny. It's true, and all I can do is give a humble apologies. But an absolute blessing and privilege to have Warbojog on the show as always. James, yes, good to see you. Say you got your old icon back. And in fact, one of the reasons I've been late, and it's not James's fault, it's my fault. But one of the reasons I've been late, because I said I keep on telling James I'm gonna learn how to unblock on YouTube, and I said no, I can't keep on saying it. I need to do it, and I had to sit down for about 5-8 minutes and work it out, which I did. So yes, sir, I'm blocked, and I'm again big apologies, sir. I did that absolutely by accident. It was on the show when we were flooded, absolutely flooded with what do you call it, spammers. Cheers, my man from South Africa. God bless you, sir. Good to see you. Says, hey Phil, hope you're well. I'm living life to the full, sir. Living life to the full. Can't chat, but I'm listening to in the background. Absolutely, sir. Great to have you on. I actually enjoy when people tell me that. The only person that's told me that. There's been a number of people that have told me that they like listening to the show in the background. Partly why I like saying that is because the shows that I really like, I typically listen to when I'm doing something else. So hopefully you like it for the same reason. But that's what I do. Yes, James, got that one. Good to see people saying hello. I'm confused what Wilson is doing. James says, hi, Phil. Sorry, I didn't seem a little bit confused there. I'm very amused, but too confused about what Wilson is doing. Yeah, the thing is, he's active. That's the main thing. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Ches. It's down to you, sir. It's down to you. James says, Phil, I just upgraded on my iPad. I'm now running an iPad 11 of the M4 chip. Wow, that's proper stuff. Proper stuff. I love it. Raymond, good to see you, sir. Raymond again with a 25%. He wants Amanda Staveley back. Big up to you, sir. Big up to you. I'm keen to get your view, Raymond, on what we're going to be discussing today as well. All right, so let's get into it. And I'm going to have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe I need your patience. I need your indulgence, because I think part of what led on the concept on today's show and what we're doing in terms of, throwing hats, and literally multiple plural hats into the ring. We've got Newcastle, are on the news and apparently involved in multiple deals, exits, and obviously recruitment as well. Again, it's down to having an active sporting director and a CEO and a club, and having the decision. Remember this: we've got a sporting director, a CEO. The decision-making process, the approval for signings, is in Newcastle. It's no longer in Saudi. We don't have to call Saudi and wait weeks and months on them to get a final approval for somebody. We can get it right here, right now in Newcastle. Hence why bids are everywhere, exits could be everywhere. Things are getting done really, really, really quickly. So with that, what happens is that we're getting and James sort of right as well, because he's mentioned it can be confusing, and that's really we're looking for, we're half looking for a glass half dark. What's the word? What's the word they use? A glass, is it glass darkly, which means we're seeing part of the picture, and we're also trying to connect certain dots, and we're getting and we're trying to see what the emerging picture is in terms of how is this team potentially evolving and what's happening. And so that show, like I said, we're going to be talking about the news. We're going to be talking about players we're linked to. We're going to look at the overall strategy, and we're going to do a scouting reports towards the end as well. And so I'm very keen to get you guys' views on when we're at, and that this is what led to tonight's concept. Like I was saying, that is trying to just keep up with it and clarify it, to kind of to see how everything is shaping up and what's happening. So I am keen to see what you guys are thinking. Now, when we're talking about news, I'm going to start off with the forwards. I can't remember if I've got any midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers. kind of browse through a little bit. I'm not going to go into depth of all of it, but there's a lot going on, as you guys are aware of. And some of these guys, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more in depth in different areas, right? And starting off with a number of news. Obviously, it's not just Sasha Tavaleri, but many outlets, including in Sweden and other areas. But we'll start off with Zadok Johanna or Johanna Zadok. Sasha Tavaleri says Newcastle United continue to explore the talent market. Magpie is expected to strengthen their attack this summer with several shortlists already drawn up. Anis Hadj Moussa, the final player, and Zadok Johanna AIK are among the names being monitored, and obviously it's more than monitored. Allegedly, Newcastle have put in the biggest bid so far for Mr. Johanna Zadok. And well, at one point were in a two-horse battle with Brighton, which looked like they were going to lose essentially, because I think the Swedish journalist came out saying that Mr. Zadok prefers to go to Brighton. We'll talk about maybe the reasons in and around that why, and obviously seeing what people online are saying. But also, then just before I got into the show, another report. I can't remember if it was from. I can't remember if it was from Team Talk or from Graham Bailey. I'm trying to remember now, but apparently Chelsea and Man City have also entered the race for Johanna Zadok. And this is something, even we saw some reports from other journalists saying that something that Newcastle didn't want to be used for in terms of getting into being used to create a bidding war. And obviously that is appearing to be happening depending on what news you're reporting. I was thinking about doing a post on Johanna Zadok. You guys know I do scouting profiles on him, and even doing a scouting profile on him today. I'm not doing it on him today. I feel like I should, because there's so much news on him. I think it's clear that Newcastle made a bid, but I think part of the reason why I haven't is I don't know. I think part of the reason I haven't, I think, is because uh, maybe I should just do it. But I think part of it was like, and I do it for players even where I don't think we're gonna get him. But I thought it's like, well, no, like anytime soon. Maybe because I think either today or tomorrow we're going to hear news about what club he's actually going to go to, which isn't exactly the same reason to do it. But what do you guys think of him? I think Toon has done a scouting profile on him. There's a he's very much a highly rated youngster, 18 years old, and I think is his first year in the Swedish league. Highly rated, highly sought after. You can tell by the clubs that are looking at him. What's you guys? Not only is he not really kind of your what's the word I'm looking for? What's your guys' views on the player, but also what's you guys' views on the profile, the age of the player? He's 18 years old. He plays on the right. We have players on the right. So what's the emergent picture there? Does it mean Jacob Murphy or Elanga could be sold? Does it mean that although he plays on the right, he's for the left? Also, the market, he plays in Sweden. He's not playing in the Premier League. Some people really relieved about that. Even though Eddie Howe has got a big a big pool of players that he bought from Europe, but it's all about narratives nowadays. So it's such an interesting kind of the fact that Brighton are the team that are looking for him. The fact that that's the market we were initially that's the kind of market we're shopping in. is very interesting to me. And I'm not quite sure what that says. I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm trying to find his scouting metric because I had it up recently. But I want to get you guys' views. I want to. Oh, that's why I'm not getting it because it's the teams. I'm looking at the wrong one. All right. I was thinking, why is it not coming up? So let me find him quickly, briefly. Johanna. Is it going to be Zadok? Is it going to be easier to find Zadok? Is he going to be found like that? But I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. I'm just trying to find him on here. Can't be their striker. And also, in terms of if Newcastle do lose in the race for him, what do you guys think the potential reasons for that could be? I think obviously that probably boils down to who we lose to. If it ends up being Brighton, right, then I think I can't get him on the thing. It's interesting. I found him earlier. I can't get him on my what do you call it? On my metrics. Am I spelling his name wrong? I wonder why I can't get him. Hold on, guys. Let me just try and get him while I'm talking to you. Why can't I get him? I'm pretty sure I'm spelling his name right. Johanna. Oh, here we go. Yeah, got him. Jeez, that took a little while. All right, so let me get share. Don't know if you guys can see this. You can't see it just yet. All right, so there's Johanna Zadok. And I'm going to go to the chats in a moment. So I think if we lose to Brighton, I think the main thing when you're 18 years old, right, you want minutes. Yes, money is important, but you want minutes. You're 18 years old, right? Your career isn't going to end when you're 19, right? So you want minutes. And the biggest thing that could probably hold you back from joining the team is minutes. So where would Newcastle offer him the minutes? I think would be the big question. What would be their selling point? Would they buy him and loan him back to AIK? Wait for Murphy's contract to run down to 1 year, then bring back Johanna. What would it be? But if you're Johanna, you've got Brighton probably saying, just play with us in the Premier League. You can play; it's not a problem. That'll be it. But I'll be interested to know what Newcastle's offer is at the moment. It sounds like the player prefers Brighton. It sounds like AIK prefer Newcastle, and you would because Newcastle are paying £4 million more. But just on his metrics, before we go to the chat, really, really impressive. First of all, Swedish tax is playing in Sweden. I get it, and I haven't seen AIK's metrics, but I would probably. In fact, let me just not assume. Let me see if I can get AIK's metrics. I can't get it. What's AIK? Who are they? It's top 7 leagues, that's why. So we can't get AIK's metrics. But look, he's in the 99th percentile for progressive carries, phenomenal, elite, certainly in the Swedish league. 98 percentiles for dribbles completed, 81 percentile for non-penalty goals XG, and 91 percentile for non-penalty goals and assists. Assists 91 percentile, phenomenal. 42 percentile for key passes, so shots that lead to a goal. That's probably because he takes most of the shots and makes assists. Key passes that lead to a shot. 54 percentile for crosses completed, so it doesn't come across as a flying winger, like a winger that kind of is going to hit it from outside the box like Murphy. He's only played 626 minutes, but he's in the Swedish league anyway. But elite dribbling stats, and you can see why teams want to get in early with him. I mean, what's your guys' views on him? James says, I watched a lot of this Nigerian lad, He looks very interesting. I wouldn't mind us looking into the South African market. Okay, so you want to even broaden your horizons some more. Raymond says, hi to Philip, how are you? Marco Palestra and Joanna Zadok should sign for Newcastle United from now. Okay, so that's the players that you want. I really like Palestra, to be fair. I do agree with you on that one. I really, really like Palestra. Asking price, well, Newcastle Wobberjog are offering 24 million, I think it is. That's the last time I heard. Anybody else can correct me on that one. I think Newcastle are offering 24 million. Du- 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 du. Raymond wants Palestra, Marcus Rashford, and Dusan Vlahovic. Okay, fair play. James says 55 million. Oh no, you're talking to someone else there. James says, to your point about 18-year-old, he will be third backup at least for the time being. But would he want to be third backup? What would that would be my question. He's been playing in Sweden, and his talent has got him all this attention. Would he want to be third choice when he's got the opportunity, probably to be at the minimum second choice at Brighton? I forgot who plays on Brighton's right. I don't know. That's the thing. But just the Kev, to see my man here, God bless you, says Lewis Hall, we're coming to save you. Hold tight, my friend. Oh my word. Thirsty. James says, I think in the point of Ross going in, the idea of just throwing money and seeing what sits, not like it's a bad thing. We're looking at these scouts, these targets. Yeah, I think it's targeted. I don't think he's just throwing money about. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Uh, James says 10 in the league, Swedish league at the moment for 2 or 3 wins, 3 draws, and 4 wins with a decent mix. So they're putting them in 10th. Okay, so they're 10th. Okay, thanks for that. So the 10th place AIK. Okay. Wilbur Drugs Phil, I genuinely fear for my club, I'm not going to lie, so not your club. But we need to do as much as possible of our transfers before the World Cup to avoid James Rodriguez tax. You don't need to fear, man. You guys will be fine, man. Honestly. James says in euros, but it would work around 15 million pounds. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, that's still a good deal. I thought it was like 24 million pounds. Yeah, got that one, Raymond. Gog Singh says this season seems to be a grown-up season for NUFC. I'm very positive. Me too. Me too. I fully agree with that. Mateus Pardo. Raymond wants Mateus Pardo. So do I. All right. So that's Mr. Zadok. It'll be interesting to see. I think in the next few days we're going to hear about him, what club he ends up going to. Why can I get this on? Here we go. My hope is that he is not the Gordon replacement. He's too young. Obviously, he plays on the right. I don't know if he's two-footed. He's just emerging in the Swedish league. Yes, he's very talented, but we really need to get the season going. So I hope it's a little bit someone more established. The other player we're going to be doing a scouting profile on Mr. Anis Hadj Moussa. So I'm not going to talk too much about him, but he's also been linked. He's a little bit older as well. Other forwards have been linked to is obviously Mr. Bazuma Toure from Hoffenheim. I got to see like a first half and a bit of a second half of him playing in Germany against RB Leipzig. I can't remember if I did a scouting profile on him. I don't think I have, not on here, but I did one online on X as well. I haven't made up my mind on him just yet. I do prefer other forwards ahead of him. Pardo, for instance, would be one of them, as well as Nusa if we could get him. Let's see what happens with him. Apparently, Newcastle are also pushing for him. Ekrem Nakanor says Newcastle pushing hard for Bazuna Toure. and that we're accelerating our efforts for him. I mean, he's not the only one, put it this way. So let me know what you guys think of Bazuma Toure. The other forward we're looking at, this is from Sebastian Vidal, but not just from Sebastian Vidal. There are other sources also in Spain. And again, I'm not going to go too deeply in terms of his profile on Viktor Munoz because I am also doing a scouting profile on Viktor Munoz a little bit later. And Viktor Munoz, this is what Sebastian Vidal says. He says Newcastle Newcastle steps up for Viktor Munoz. The Magpies have submitted an offer. Hold on just a moment. Okay, phew. I thought I wasn't charging my laptop. It says Newcastle steps up for Viktor Munoz. The Magpies have submitted an offer estimated at £35 million. So it is pounds. This one isn't euros for sure. £35 million for the Osasuna winger and aim to make him one of the major reinforcements for their attacking sector this summer. He is also a left winger, Viktor Munoz. And to be fair for Sebastian, he's quoted himself, and in May 2030, said Newcastle has made inquiries about Viktor Munoz ahead of the summer transfer window. The Osasuna winger, who had a standout season in La Liga, is seen as a serious option to replace Anthony Gordon, who has been announced as leaving Aston Villa. Napoli and Barca are also interested in him. Let me know if you guys have heard of Viktor Munoz. Like I said, I did an X post on him, and I'm going to be doing scouting profile on him a little bit later, so I'm not going to go too deeply. But like I said, Sebastian Vidal isn't the only source, the only journalist who's saying there's a bid in. Spanish sources as well as other sources are saying Newcastle have made a bid for Viktor Munoz, and it's a significant bid. I think there's a release clause for him around 45 million euros, and Newcastle have given like a 35 million plus 5 million euros. I know this one says pounds, so it's difficult to see which bid is where. But if they're bidding for him, you assume that the player has indicated that he will join as well. From the Spanish league as well. And the other emerging picture I wanted to add to that, we've talked about Viktor Munoz, we've talked about Zadok and Anis and Torre. They're all from leagues outside of the Premier League. They're all young as 18 to about, I think the highest is 24 in terms of Anis Moussa. How do you guys feel about that in terms of them coming from essentially weaker leagues, them also being fairly young in terms of experience? How do you think that will translate? I was hoping if I had more time to use some of, I forgot who does it. I think it's Opta Analyst who rank different leagues in terms of, the like really specific in terms of points. And I was going to use a little bit of AI to see how that could translate in terms of their metrics. I might do that for next week. But we could have a team literally of 4 or 5 youngsters that are vying for first team players at positions. What's the what phase of the project that be for Newcastle? How do you think that team can compete for the Champions League? Let me know. And I'm actually going to be doing an overview of it in a moment. James says also very interested in the racing player for that wing as well. If you mean Jorge, I think Jorge, we're going to be talking the left back. Yeah, if you mean Jorge, going to mention him in a moment as well. Thanks. Thanks for mentioning him. Actually, it's reminded me. Raymond says, "Hi, Toon Tactics. How are you? How are you? Zadok should go to Newcastle now." I absolutely agree with that. If he's good, I hope he comes. Wobojog says, "Phil, the transfer inflation is insane. RBL asking for 120 million for their left winger. If I had that kind of money, I'll try my luck for Vinny Jr. Oh, what for Yan Diomande? Yeah, I think did we do a scouting profile for him? Or is it a post I sent out? It's his breakout season. Yeah, I mean, it depends what the market says because PSG are really interested in him. Liverpool are really interested in him, and it might be if both teams are willing to put up a certain amount of money, just like both Man United and Man City are in for Elliot Anderson. You might see players that are ordinarily a lot cheaper, cost a lot more higher. But for me, that wouldn't inflate the market, because if you got if that sets the market. If you got two teams or three teams or however multiple teams essentially saying yes, we're willing this price, and that's the price of the player, and that's where it's going essentially. It's different when you do, some things like Man United do, where there is no competition and you just overpay for the player anyway. That's what hurts the market. James says, mixed, I would prefer someone different. You're mixed on Zadok, I think it is, or Zadok, excuse me. Gog Singh says, what do you feel, Philip, is the best outcome for the start of the season? Hold that thought, Gong Singh. Let me know if you're going to hang about. I'm going to go into that. I'm actually going to go into that. Very, very good question. James says, yes, but he's mainly right winger. He only just started playing left at the end of the season, so I'll call him right winger for Victor. For Viktor Munoz. Okay. And Eddie likes those versatile players as well. James says we need to start de-aging squad in average. We're just below his Villa in the age level, so 27. Well, with the players that we're looking at, we're not only de-age. We're gonna do. Who's the thing that goes backwards in age? Is it not Kipling? Benjamin Button? Is it? We're gonna do that. James says, yeah, we did, but we didn't know the market price at the time. I think I walked into the back of a conversation, the middle of a conversation there. All right. Warbojog says the problem is now both selling and buying clubs have good data departments. Yes, exactly. So generally, selling clubs know the value of their players and value them higher. Finding gems for cheap is difficult. Exactly. I mean, we being Newcastle fans, keep on getting bantered by rival clubs saying, why do you always go for players that other big clubs are going for? Everyone's got big old departments, data departments. So everyone ends up shopping in the same aisle. It's not like Newcastle look at a player that Real Madrid are looking at and saying, yeah, let's go fight Real Madrid for a player. That's not what's happening, right? So, and these departments are only getting bigger. So we looked at Torre, we looked at Muniz, we looked at Johanna, we looked at Hadj. We're going to take a closer look at those players a little bit later. They're all young, they're all from European markets. They're all got relatively limited experience in senior football. Obviously, Hadj's got a little bit more than others. Definitely none of them have got experience in Premier League football. So, like I said, there's an emerging trend, there's an emerging picture of what Newcastle are looking at and what they're doing. And they're taking a little bit more risk than usual. In terms of what could happen on the field, maybe financially not so much, which is another one. Now, I really wanted to do a scouting profile on these two players. I think I've done the previous one on Mr. Giorgio Scalvini. This is looking at the defenders, right? Now, Ben Jacobs came up with this post, and I want to get you guys' take on this because I didn't understand why. I was going to say I didn't understand why he sent this post, or I was thinking, did he send this post because he's possibly seeing something happening, but he doesn't want to see? Because sometimes he does these posts where he doesn't want to overcommit, but he also wants to be able to say, there's a story that could possibly, this is a story that could possibly have legs. Anyway, so he says this, I think today or yesterday. Newcastle have a long-standing interest in Atlanta defender Giorgio Scalvini. However, no recent contact yet. I understand Scalvini is also on the radar but I think it's of clubs in Italy and Germany. And I think to myself, why? And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking his agent is either his agent or Atlanta's agent, and I think he just got injured as well again recently. And I think they're just trying to sell him. I think they're trying to sell him. I don't think Newcastle, and they said Newcastle have not made recent contact yet. They haven't. I just realized why they're doing it. I think they're selling him. I think they're trying to sell him. I think that's quite obvious. Because I was thinking, why did he send this? And it just makes sense. It makes sense. Scalvini's agent's trying to sell him. I really like Scalvini. We did a scout profile before on him. He's a right-sided centre back. Can be also like that hybrid right-sided centre back who can play at right back or right RCB, which is what I would really want Newcastle to have on both flanks. Right RCB and a right back, and on the left flank, a left LCB in the left back. So we've got the option of playing three at the back or a 4-4-2 with flying fullbacks. So I really like the idea of that. So hopefully it's there. The other one I didn't see coming, and this is actually from the Athletic. I know that Lee Ryder's reported on it, but this is Athletic as well. I've talked about it, and that is Newcastle United is facing difficulties in signing Real Madrid's low knee to Italian club Como, Spanish defender Jacobo Ramon. So it's interesting because the way the report comes off is that Newcastle already in the process of trying to get this guy, just finding it difficult due to a buyback clause in favor of Real Madrid, and he's like the third or fourth Real Madrid player that Newcastle are struggling to get over the line because they've got a buyback clause. Munoz actually is in Real Madrid players got a buyback clause from Madrid as well. In addition to interest from Liverpool and Chelsea clubs in the player. Now, I hadn't heard of Jacobo Ramon. I had a brief look at some of his stats and also the old YouTube, some Dennis Wise scouting. You know, he's about 6'3", 6'4", absolutely massive. But he also plays, I'm trying to remember, he's RCB as well. I think he plays right centre back as well. And he can play in that he can play in that kind of right sided hybrid role as well. Looks a bit Dan Burnish, but obviously he's younger and more athletic, better with his feet. I do like the profiles of players that we're looking for. And I'm going to take the time to do a scouting profile on him a little bit later on as well. But so when we're going to talk about it a little bit later, I really hope, like I said, that's how our defensive line will begin to look, especially on the flanks. That we would have those type of options of left backs and left-sided defenders, right backs, right-sided defenders who can be in that who can form a back three, or you can have fullbacks who can be flying fullbacks who can play higher up. So I'll be really excited if we're able to get those type of players over the line. And the other defensive player we spoke about a little bit earlier is Jorge Salinas. And I want to give credit to Conor Craven, who is a fantastic member of the channel as well. He forwarded this to me via X, and this is from Mundo Deportivo. Newcastle are interested in Racing Santander's left back Jorge Salinas. Salinas has a 60 million release clause, and Newcastle are looking at a lot of these players that got these release clauses, which, if activated, will make him Racing Santander's biggest ever sell. The 19-year-old is seen as an ideal backup for Lewis Hall. We're going to talk about Lewis Hall in a minute. Goodness gracious. I don't know much about Jorge Salinas. And I'm keen to let me bring up his metrics. Let me bring up his metrics and see. Let me see what you guys are thinking in a moment as well. But how are you guys? Literally all the players I've mentioned today are from abroad, are outside the Premier League, have release clauses, are available, are young. Let me know what you guys think. Let me see. Racing Santander as well. I want to get you guys' point of view on this. So let me see Santander, is it? Is it Santander Bikes? Is it Racing? I can't get Racing. How do you spell their name? Racing? Is it Racing? What did we get here? What's their name? Yeah, Racing. They're not coming up. Why are they not coming up? Have I got the right? No, I do. It's not there. They're not there. That's interesting. Are they a second division team, Racing Santander? Let me know, guys. I can't get their stats up for some reason. Why can't I get their stats? Hold on. I should be able to get their stats if they're in the Spanish league. Nah. Okay. I can get his stats. So let me share that with you. But I've got used to and accustomed to be able to see in their team so I can understand where they are. Um, they're in the second division. They're about to join the first one. I wonder if maybe that's why I can't get their stats. But you can. Can I don't know. I don't think I can get. I don't think I got second division stats on Data and B. Uh, da-da-da-da. James says, Yan Diamande, we did scout him, but we didn't know the market price at the time. Only heard it a week ago. Yeah, we were interested in him. We were interested in him. James says, I haven't seen much on Ben Jacobs, so I haven't got much to go on. No, fair play. I think obviously he's on the payroll on a few people. That's just my assumption. I don't see why you send reports like that. James says he's a left centre back and right centre back are very mixed for a young player. He's a centre back and a right centre back. Is that for Santander or Ramon? Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, I like that profile. James says yes, they are. That you should be able to get. Oh, this is for the race in Santander. So if we look at so this is Mr. I was going to say Santander. It's not. It's Jorge Salinas is one. Again, I would love to see his team stats, but he's elite in terms of possession. If you look at his possession stats, possession one stats, where is it? It's at 92 percentile, which indicates to me that he is got very good game intelligence, knows how to pick up loose passes, knows how to intercept passes, knows how to play within a structure. It's difficult to know how, without looking at Racing Santander, how they play. Are they like a high pressing team? Are they in the counter attack? So how does he get these type of stats? The fact that he's got literally no crossing assists or progressive passes or even carrying leads me to believe that they're probably on the back foot quite a bit. You don't expect his aerials to be high for a left back, to be fair. His defensive duels are fairly average, but his possession one stats are the ones that are elite. So, yeah, it's difficult to tell without understanding what system he's in. To see what kind of player he is. But if Newcastle are looking for him to compete with Lewis Hall, I would think that, in fact, let's have a look on a bit of a YouTube on him. I don't usually do this. I like to get a little bit more information on the player, but I'm just curious to see what he looks like, how he's, uh, how he plays. There's a. Oh, I thought it was going to be. It says, let me see this. Hold on, I'm just trying to see if it's him, because there's highlights on the team. Is it on him or is it on the team? No, it's on the team. Okay, let me see this. Jorge Salinas. Let me see if we can get him while we're talking. Racing Santander. I keep on thinking of Santander bikes whenever I'm talking about him. And by the way, Barcelona are looking at him, so that's that's probably a good indicator. He might be decent. All right, so let me put this YouTube on. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Let's get this. So Jorge Salinas. Let's have a little bit of a look at him. Do some Dennis Wise scouting. Second division, Spanish second division, guys, right? Spanish second division. Again, an indicator of where Newcastle are at in terms of the players they're looking for. That's him picking up essentially. That's interesting. So I'm assuming he can invert. He is the left back there. You can see that it's just a different. It's interesting that Newcastle are heading into this market. Let me know if any. Let me just see if I can pick him up on what's his background. You got me curious on him because Newcastle are literally trying to pick up players before they become those players. Does that make sense? Before they become like if you're going to the Spanish second division, you're really. Let me pause this a minute and let me show you what I'm looking at here. I want to see his career. Uh, yeah, La Liga 2. All he's known as La Liga 2. Real. I thought it was going to be like linked to, um, like he was in Real Madrid's academy or something like that. Maybe he was. Let me just double check. Let me just double check. Jorge Salinas. What's his background? Because it's literally when we're talking about looking for gems and data departments, this is like really to the extreme, to the extreme. But like this is really Newcastle digging deep. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, all he's known is racing. He hasn't ever played for any bigger racing youth, racing under 19s, Cantabria. Yes. Okay, let's see this because bearing in mind he's going to step up into the Premier League, compete for with Lewis Hall. If Lewis Hall stays, he's got delivery on him, left back. Nice turn, nice change there. Take crosses. Looks like he stays pretty high up as well. Interesting that his crossing metrics are so low. Yeah, it's so difficult to. It's so difficult to assess him because he plays in the lower league. Um, Obviously, clearly got pace, awareness, all these type of things. But you can consistently think, man, how would this look like in the Premier League? Let alone how would he look in the La Liga? Let alone the Premier League. You know what I mean? So an interesting one. Let me know what you guys are thinking so far. James says 25 wins, 7 draws, 10 losses over 90 goals this season for racing. So are they like? Are they go? So they're going to the La Liga. So they got 90 goals. Okay, that's interesting. How many did he contribute to? Do you know, James? In fact, I also had it there. I had him just there. How many goals did Mr. Salinas contribute? Season. And he's a proper left back. If you see his heat map, let me show you his heat map. Take this off. Let me show you his heat map. Proper like plays fairly high up as well, but very much touchline left back as well. So he's not looking like he's playing left centre back or anything like left centre back or anything like that. All right, so let's see his. So this year's played. Hold on, what's he played this year? So this year's played 2,655 minutes with 7 assists. 7 assists. That's not bad. 0 goals. That's okay. 7 assists. Interesting. Like literally, Newcastle are picking up players at a very early. If this deal goes through and he joins us here in the Premier League, I don't. Okay, is to say he's a raw talent is an understatement. Jonathan says, "Hi Philip, how's things going? Very well, sir. Good to see you. We've reached 1,000 subscribers thanks to you guys. So that's great. 4-2-3-1 they play. You mean 4-2-3-1? Okay. And I think, like you said, I feel like we're evolving into that as well. Gog Singh says into playing in a 4-2-3-1. Gog Singh says, I'm excited. NUFC are not looking at Prem players and bringing in unknown, so to speak. We need the opportunity to bring a fresher field than players we have seen week in, week out in the Prem. I do agree with you, Gogson. I guess as I'm watching it unfold, maybe because I'm not like if we just take Jorge Salinas, Spanish second division. I know like unknown players, I get it, but Spanish second division. To say it's going to be an adjustment process for him and for us is an understatement. James says he must have been crossing it because he's got 7 assists. Yeah, or cutbacks, but his metrics for complete crosses is super low. Yeah, he's one of those homegrown players. He's a master of throwing to what I understand. Interesting. James getting some background information for us. James says if we can get it correct, it will be Lewis Hall looking after him and keeping him in the skill that works for Eddie. That would be the ideal. Hopefully, Lewis Hall stays because geez, are the rumors hyping up? What do you guys feel about the whole Lewis Hall things? Do you think he stays? Do you think these rumors are just rumors? I was in the old WhatsApp group today, and you know how it is. Someone claims to know someone who basically says it's a done deal. He's leaving for Man United. I'm like, why? Like, how did that? Like, what's this? They said, oh, he's not pushing for it, but we're selling him. I said, why are we pushing him? Why are we selling him if he's not pushing for it? I don't know, was the answer. Like I said, Newcastle wouldn't sell Lewis Hall if he's not pushing for a deal, like pushing to leave. It doesn't make sense. So we'll see. Apparently, we're going to hear something next week. I haven't got a clue. It's not my source. I don't have any sources, by the way. It's a WhatsApp group, so forgive me. I hope I'm wrong, honestly. Others, we've got obviously the goalkeeper. We're going to look at the goalkeeper situation a bit deeply as well. But again, another player in terms of we talked about Mr. I can never pronounce his name, Ewan Joan, who we've reportedly actually made a bid for and accepted, and he's accepted our bid, although that went back and said then Chelsea and Real Madrid want him. So what's going to happen? But he's also in the French second division. He spent 3 years in this French second division. He's never played in the first division. That's the highest level he's ever gone to. And Newcastle are going in for him as well. You'll hear me talking about the goalkeepers a little bit more, but I'm like, I hope it's not going to be our number one. And I hope Pope is not going to be our number one. What's going to happen with Pope, because we haven't made any announcements on him yet. We've done it on Fabian Schär, who's staying. There was somebody else that's staying as well. I forgot who it is. But Fabian Schär is staying. So what's going to happen with Pope? Is he staying or is he going to go to Leeds? If Pope stays, is Ewan going to come? Is he going to be first or is he going to be third? Would he want to be third choice? A little bit like Zadok. But he can't be first choice. He's been playing French second division all his life. Like, how much of a risk are we willing to take? Is he going to be like a Salinas as well in our first team? Or are we going to send him out to another, maybe Spanish first division? Like, there's so many questions. Like, I'll be amazed, like, if these guys become like first team players from the beginning on our team. Something that might alleviate my concerns about Johan Joan, and not him specifically, because, and again, big up Tom Talks Toon, who did a really, really good scouting profile on Johan Joan. I recommend you guys watch it. I read it. It's on X. If you don't, I'm planning to do it on my show at some point as well. But something that a little bit alleviates my concerns about the goalkeeping department is the news on the right. And that is that is from Graham Bailey. And it reads, James Trafford has made it clear to Manchester City that he's not prepared to spend another season as a backup goalkeeper. And he shouldn't. He's definitely ready to be a first team goalkeeper. With Newcastle United emerging as, and he's got it in quotes here, leading contenders for his signature, Team Talk can reveal. I hope that it's true, because that would make sense. And we definitely have an upgrade, right? Because so far, all the players that we've been linked to aren't immediate upgrades. To me, James Trafford is an immediate upgrade to Pope, an immediate upgrade to Ramsdale. or anybody else we have available. So far, we've got a lot of emerging talents, which I think that we can be excited about. But we can never say that Viktor Munoz is an immediate upgrade on Harvey Barnes, who's still there, or Gordon, or Mr. Zadok. No matter how talented he is, he hasn't played one single game in a top 7 league, let alone the Premier League, right? So he's got the skills and everything else that we can see on YouTube highlights, but I'm not prepared to say that he's going to be better than Jacob Murphy, let alone Elanga, right? And those two haven't been very good. So there's so many questions in this, right? So James Trafford is like the first link we have that I feel is like an immediate upgrade, an immediate plug-in player. Why I hesitate to say, yeah, I think, like I said, I hope it's true. I just don't know if I just don't know if we are indeed going back for him, because this is like everything that I've been hearing and watching online is that he's going to go to Villa or to maybe even Chelsea. Newcastle is too expensive for Newcastle. But if Pope goes to Leeds, Ramsdale's already gone. We don't have a goalkeeper, and we've got plenty of room to pay the guy, to pay James Trafford. I think we should pay the extra. I think that the goalkeeper position, especially the striking positions, for me, are the two really, really important positions that I think that we need to upgrade on. And I'll be worried. I'll be really, really worried. No matter how talented Johan might be, if we bring him in, he's not James Trafford level. He's not even Pope level at this stage, right? So we'll see. We're going to talk a little bit further in a minute, but in terms of how like the overall picture stands. But what's you guys think? I mean, what's you guys kind of reflections on all of that so far? James says, I really like him a lot because he could be someone that can build into something awesome that than I ever saw him on, or keep him in the squad. Are you referring to you and Joanne, James? Let me know. James says he's not going to be first, to what I understand, and from what I heard from the reporters, he even asked him to be in the first team goalkeeper, so he knows his level at least. Is he's asking to be what? He's asking to be like second, you mean, James? James says Aston Villa is the main link, unfortunately, for Trafford. From what I understand, they want to buy a replacement for Martinez. Yeah, and I think they're in a position to do it. They're in a position to do it. The only inside track we might have is that we've been looking at him for 3-4 years. So he really knows that, we want him. Wilbur Johnson, Phil, speaking hat in the ring, did you see the Perez conference that he's getting 150 million start? Yeah, I did, the start to Madrid. In genuinely concerned, we might lose Gyok or Noni now. Yeah, how do we compete? Yeah, how do you compete? For real. Okay, Joanne, I hope he's second. Honestly, if he's coming as first, I think we're taking this emerging talent. If he's not second, James, and he's like there to be our first keeper, Joanne, we're taking this emerging talent thing and look a bit too seriously. We're swinging literally. We've gone from one spectrum to another spectrum too far, in my opinion. So with all this news and with all this detailed information on the transfers, I wanted to have like an overall, like, bird's eye view on the squad so far and when we're at, and I'm going to break it down into forwards, midfielders, and defenders, right? So you guys are familiar with this slide. We kind of showed it a lot, where the forward situation is currently at, or potentially at as well. From the forwards, obviously, Gordon has already left, so we need a replacement. That is well publicized, right? It could be Viktor Munoz. It could be Pardo. It could be Bozani Torre. It could be any of those guys, right? In the midfield department, I left it 2 blank because I'm anticipating that Willock is leaving and potentially Tonali. Emerging news again today that if City can't get Anderson for the price they're setting, which is I think it's about around 90 million, they're going to go for Tonali. I'm assuming they're going to offer 90 million for Tonali, right? They can't offer 90 million for Anderson and come to us and say, here's 80 million for Tonali. We're like, no, we want that 99. We want that 90 million, please. So that, and I wouldn't want to lose Tonali at all, obviously, but it is a lot of money. We'll see how we replace him. So I left those 2 spots blank in anticipation of that. It's hard to kind of do these things to let you guys know that I'm thinking, do I show the squad as it currently is or what I think it will be? And would it look a little bit too complicated? But hopefully, I know you guys are smart and you can follow what we're doing. So I've left 2 gaps, right? Defenders, we've got a gap already. There's no target. He's going. There's no backup from the left back in situation. So you could get the likes of Jorge Salinas or, there's other talents who've looked at Koulibaly, who's a hybrid as well. The centre back options are filled. Burn for Botman, Shah for Chow. And our right back area, I'm anticipating that Tino's going to leave. Trippier's already left, and so has Kraft. But then if it's true that Hall goes to Man United, then Tino can't leave. We can't lose Hall and Tino in the same window. Goodness gracious me. I know we're not trying to sell our whole squad here. So it's a balance in that, trying to get things right. And obviously the goalkeeping department, there's obvious blanks and spaces there. So let's break it down and let's see where we are. Starting off with a forward line. James says, I will take 90 million with add-ons. So would I for Tonali, absolutely. Who would be your replacement for Tonali, James, and not for Willock? Because I put it this way, let me set the scenario, and it's been set by our newspaper. They said that the replacement for Willock is going to be Lamine Camara if we can get him over the line. So Lamine Camara is out of the picture. This isn't just for James, for everybody. If it's not Lamine Camara, who would be the replacement for Tonali? It says not Curtis Jones. Because that would be one of my replacements. So who would be the replacement for Tonali? I want to hear from you guys. And while you guys think about that, I've broken it down in terms of the forward line as we're speaking at the moment where it's at, right? So you can see in the sections, starting from the left wing areas, I've got Barnes, and I've got the potential, obviously Gordon's gone, I've got the potential replacement of Viktor Munoz. We're going to do a scouting profile on in the moment. From the Spanish league, he's about 21, 22, something like that. Again, an emerging talent, not as emerging as Salinas. Salinas is like still in the dirt. We're talking about emerging talent. So Viktor Munoz is at the moment, but it could be Pardo. It could be the players I mentioned before. But I've got Mr. Viktor there for a moment, if you can picture it, right? The forward line is tricky. Well, the forwards or the centre forwards is tricky. Wissa, Voltemada, and Usola. You guys know my thoughts on it. I like to give players 2 years, so Wissa and Voltemada. But if there's a loan or a buy option for either Wissa or Voltemada, or both, I'm willing to say, I think Newcastle should take it. And everything that's been, if you guys recall from our previous show, everything that's been sounded out by the newspaper, especially when it comes to Wissa, a little bit Belanga as well, but especially when it comes to Wissa, Newcastle are willing to take a hit on Wissa. in terms of a profit loss. So I don't know how much of that is true, because especially after speaking to Bobby Fairview on that, it's going to cost us in our SCR. But I'm sure loan options are there. Osola, there's interest in him as well. Aston Villa, and it makes sense why Aston Villa are looking at him. We did a squad analysis of them on Tuesday, and they got, like, as pointed out, I think they got the oldest squad in the league. Ollie Watkins isn't getting any younger. Rogers could potentially go, and you need a young striker up front, young forward up front, who's full of running, who's full of pace, can run in behind, and you can see why Villa would be interested in Osola. And I've seen reports saying that Newcastle previously willing to sell Osola for 30 million. They're now doubling that price. But if someone comes for 60 million for Osola, then Newcastle might just get out of bed for that. But again, out of our centre forwards, he's the last option for me to sell. Between Whistle, Voldemort, and Osola, for me, Osola's the last option. Unless we can get some sort of resemblance of Whistle in his season for Brentford. But that's a big if, right? So there's not much movement in the centre forward markets at the moment. Would Newcastle be willing, if a centre forward does appear and there's no movement on Whistle and Voldemort, would they sell Osola in order to get that, if there's an opportunity to get an upgrade? That's another thing. So I've left it as it is at the moment, because I haven't seen enough. Delap is saying he wants to commit, and I haven't seen enough from a centre forward department to suggest that Newcastle are going to get that forward, is in my opinion. Right wing forward, I've put Mr. Anis Hadj Moussa, who we're going to do a scouting profile a little bit later. 24 years old, so not an emerging talent. Again, coming from the Eredivisie, a weaker league to the Premier League. He plays on the right. He's a left-footed player. Again, Newcastle are looking for these right forwards, which causes me to think, what's going to happen to Elanga? What's going to happen to Jacob Murphy? Is it going to be like this? Like, is it going to be, because what's the situation? I don't know if you guys seen, and this is like literally the how do I say it? Almost like in the darkest corners of ITK land, where, and that's actually coming from Nottingham Forest fans who are saying that there's a potential kind of like swap deal / cash deal where Elanga could return to Nottingham Forest and Newcastle get Victor John, their goalkeeper from there, who's more experienced, an experienced goalkeeper, plus cash. I don't know if that's true, but it's got enough truth to say, there's got enough, how do I say, truth to say that it could happen, because obviously Wilson's connections to Nottingham Forest, Elanga's connections to Nottingham Forest, he might want to come back after a terrible season. Newcastle have a very good transfer and kind of productive relationship with Nottingham Forest. We've sold them Elliot Anderson, we've got Vladikamos, we've had some of those funny PSR deals with them. Could it be another kind of SCR deal? So it's not beyond like the realms of possibility, but it's so what's the word I'm looking for? It feels so unlikely that I can't believe it's true. But then you see these right wing forwards, right wing players linked to Newcastle. You're thinking, well, somebody's got to go. Is it Elanga? Is it Jacob Murphy? So there's this kind of emergent picture of our front line at the moment of what's happening. Personally, I won't be convinced of our front line in terms of being being a top six, potentially top four front line, unless we get the upgrade in the centre forward area. There's two main actual upgrades I'm looking for: the centre forward area and the goalkeeper area, like straight up upgrades. I don't want to personally see a Spanish second division goalkeeper who's got outrageous stats in a second, or in the case of you and Joanne, a French goalkeeper in the French second division who's got impressive stats, being our number one. So if it's James Trafford, then that's a straight up upgrade. Like I've said, I want to see something similar for our centre forward line. I'm hoping that that's what we're saving money up for. And I think those are the key areas for us. But there's an interesting picture there as well. So let me know what you guys are thinking. James says, I think my replacement for Sandro is Eduardo Camavinga. Sorry, James. I just I don't I don't know if we're gonna get him. I don't know why Eduardo would leave Real Madrid to go to us. I hope so. I'm laughing because I've just been talking about Spanish second division players, and you've given me you know what? You've got a lot more confidence than I do. Curtis Jones is actually their second best midfielder. I agree with that. Curtis Jones has got some really impressive stats. Really, really impressive stats. Yeah, so the forward line is pretty much in the air for me. But I need that centre forward. I need that centre forward to make me think, yes, we're ready. Midfield area, even despite the fact that we could lose a Tonali, for instance, I'm fairly secure in our midfield area, regardless. I feel like it is our strongest part of our team. We've done a squad analysis, it's come out as the strongest part of our team. It's so strong that at times it bails out other departments, like our right back area with Lewis Smiley. You guys would notice that, obviously on the left side, we've got Mr. Joe Linton and Mr. Jacob Ramsey, who I'm increasingly more and more impressed with. In the CM and DM area, I've put Mr. Lamine Kamara should Mr. Willock leave. That is my hope. That is my prayer. That is, if it's Lamine Kamara, because a double pivot of Lamine Kamara and Lewis Smiley would change the game for Newcastle United, in my opinion. Right mid or right centre mid, we would have Bruno Gomes and Tonali. Now, do we keep Tonali? That's the thing. Do Forrest buckle and I will say buckle. What's the word? Do Forrest agree and sell Anderson for 90 million? If that happens, the market for Tonali is getting smaller and smaller and smaller because Man United are picking up the likes of Mateus Fernandez and Edison. They're not looking to spend that big money on Tonali. Liverpool are getting Alex Scott. So the market for Tonali is getting smaller and smaller. But I've put a blank figurine just below him because it could happen. It could happen. I want to know from you guys who would be a good replacement. Like I said, Curtis Jones to me is a very, very good ask. The other player I was going to suggest was Alex Scott, but I think Alex Scott is going to join Iriola in Liverpool as well. Wobblejog says, Phil, the problem with strikers in modern football is academies don't produce them because they are risky assets. It's economically safer and easy to produce all-rounder Toyotas versus 911 GT. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But there's some really good. There is some I like Romelu. I don't know if you heard of Romelu from IB Leipzig. I really like Romelu. If we can get him, there's Alvaro Rodriguez, who is currently playing not Deportivo. He's in Spain as well, but he's like a Spanish. He's another Real Madrid academy player. There's also Goncalo, not the Goncalo Ramos. I think it's Goncalo Ramos as well, but he plays for Real Madrid. He can't get into their team at the moment. He's a very, very, very interesting player. Um, I wouldn't mind. There are good strikers out there. There are. But I hear what you're saying. It's a little bit more limited. Big up to my man Richie from United TV. God bless you. Says evening Philip and the chat. Evening sir. And guys, do check out our show that we did yesterday. I went on his channel talking about Newcastle. Fantastic, fantastic channel. I encourage you guys to join. James says, okay, part of the reason why I could see this happening, this is a long shot. Jose doesn't make that style of defensive midfielder. I know it's going to go into a bit of a killing of a decent rebuild for a team. I'm not going to. How much is Camavinga on? I can't imagine whatever wage he's got. In fact, let me go on the. Let me go on the Capology. Have I got the Capology or the old Capology on? Camavinga. Eduardo Camavinga. How much is he on? Yeah, James. He's on. Jeez, Louise. Bonus is included. 300k a week. We're not getting his fixed payment is 250k euros a week. Yeah, we're not getting Camavinga, and his contract runs out in 2029. Yeah, we're not getting Camavinga. Maybe you're looking for a profile similar to Camavinga. That's possible. But it's not going to be Camavinga for sure. Thanks, Rich. Yes, we've hit 1K because of our incredible chat, incredible folks over here. Absolutely. And also the folks that joined from your channel as well. Big up to them. Please do let them know. I'm really grateful for that as well. 300k for Camavinga, Rich. Unfortunately, we can't get him. Boba Jokes is the only two I stalk are Garcia. That's it, Garcia. Yeah. From Real Madrid. Benzema Light from Madrid and Esposito, similar to Haaland at Inter. Both raw, different profile, but insane potential. Absolutely. Garcia is the one I was looking at. Absolutely. Garcia and there's a Romolo from RB Leipzig. So there are some players out there still. Yeah, so like I said, the midfield area I'm a little bit more confident about, especially if we can get Kamara over the line. A Kamara Miley double pivot, that for me is where we're looking at, okay, top 6, potential top 4 level. And even though he's coming from the French league, we've done scouting profiles on Kamara before. Even at 22, 23 years old, he's got so much experience. I think 3-4 years already in the first team for Monaco, Champions League experience, African nations experience. I'm not saying he's going to be plug and play when he comes at Newcastle United, but for me, he's sufficient. He's more than sufficient for me to say. There's more enough on him to say, yes, this player is an upgrade. Absolutely, he's an upgrade, in my opinion. Yeah, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Tonali does go, who would be that replacement for him. And okay, the centre-back area and the full-back area, that's getting more and more interesting by the day, right? So starting from the left-back area. Now, I want to first say my dream, and I kind of said it earlier in the show, for our defensive line, right? My dream for both left-hand side and for the right-hand side is to have 2 profiles. Fullbacks, who can overlap, the likes of obviously what we've already got in Hall and Livramento, but obviously one of them's going. Is it Hall? Is it Tino? Jeez. But also right-sided RCBs or hybrid right-sided centre backs or fullbacks. Right RCBs, hybrid fullbacks. In the shape of your Dejan Matali, who's there at the bottom, and or Joshua Achimpong on the other side. On the other side as a right-sided player. Obviously, Chelsea are hanging on to Mr. Joshua for dear life. Though Mr. Joshua through the media is saying, "I want some minutes, though. I need minutes. Can you guarantee me minutes?" And Chelsea seem to be quite quiet on that at the moment. But those are the profiles I'm looking at. I think if Newcastle were to get that, I'll be very, very, very happy. Very, very happy. But I've also got Mr. Salinas next to Matali. I prefer Dejan Matali, who's actually played in the French First Division, and I'm more open to players coming from the French, from the Ligue 1 than I am from Spain, because I think Ligue 1 is the closest we can get to when it comes to the intensity of the league itself. So that's my dream, right? Do we keep Hall? I don't know if United TV is here. I don't know if there's Rich is here. I don't know if there's been any further news from Manchester United's situation on this. I've had people in WhatsApp chats all about confirming that Hall is leaving, but that's WhatsApp, and that's someone's source, HP source. Hopefully it's HP source. I'll be surprised because I thought Tino was a little bit ahead of the line, and if anything, that kind of news made me think that I would prefer Tino to leave compared to Hall mainly because of Tino's injury record. So yeah, I think that's where we're at with that. Obviously, we've got Marcus Palestra who could replace Tino should he go. He's very much of the same profile. If we had a Marco Palestra and Joshua Achimpong type of profiles, I'll be happy with that. But again, if we get like emerging talents from Spain and whatnot, it's exciting. I feel like I'm downplaying. I'm pouring cold water. It's exciting, but it's a lot. Like literally, we've got no Kieran Trippier, we've got no Kraft, and we potentially could lose Tino on the right hand side. We've got to have some. I feel like we've got to have some experience there. We've got to have someone who's got at least some Premier League experience there, in some shape or form. I wouldn't even mind Joshua Achimpong level of experience, which is limited, but at least he's been raised in playing for a team in the Premier League, and he's got some minutes there. If on the left hand side Hall goes, we've already got no target there. So the left hand side there's nobody on the left hand side, which leaves us open to even if we've got a Salinas and their Matali, I'll be more excited about I'll be excited about both of them, more excited about Dejan. But again, they've never been in the Premier League. It's going to be like, it's literally, they're going to be learning as they go. There's going to be some exciting parts to that. There's going to be some scary parts to that. It's a how can I even call it? There's a lot of risk. There's a lot more risk than I'm accustomed to, shall I say, in that situation. So let me know what you guys are thinking before we get to the last part, which is the goalkeeping part. James says, I would love Esposito. I need to learn about Esposito. I've heard other people talk about him. United TV says, thanks, James. I think the standard is dropping. Philip, is the standards for Newcastle News. Is the standard for Newcastle News is my reference point. Thanks. Thank you for that, sir. I really appreciate that. I don't know what you guys said earlier. James said, you and Alice football seem to be the most common sense Man United. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. It means a lot coming from you, Rich. Thank you, sir. James says there is a wonder kid called Luigi Cherubini. He has just played his first match for the national squad this season as a 22-year-old. Is he a striker or is he a fullback? Let me know. Okay, so no real news on Hall. Okay. Rich says Man United are interested in Hall. That's it at the moment, I think. Okay. I've seen prices being banded about as high as 70 million. Um, I, I'll be surprised. Honestly, I'll be surprised mainly because I thought Tina was ahead of the queue. But we'll see. As you can see, like literally, if we sell Hall, we have nobody in the left back area, and I think you're gonna get, especially online, people fearing the worst that Mr. Dan Burn is gonna be our left back, especially after a long season and a World Cup year, and he's like 33, 34, and because he's not a left back. So we'll see. Richard says, looks like we're getting Mateus Fernandez next. Like, fantastic player. Fantastic player. James says, I think it was Luke Edwards. Ross will be focusing to keep. Okay, so Luke Edwards says, Ross will be keeping focusing on keeping him instead of getting rid. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. I think Luke Edwards, says that Ross will be focusing to keep him instead of getting rid of Lewis Hall. I heard it would be around 70 to 80 million to get rid of him, but I think that's the preferred options. Yeah, I think if you're saying 70 to 80 million for Hall, that's just another way of saying you don't want to sell him. Like, yeah, that's all, yeah. Um, yeah, basically, like we can't sell we can't sell we can sell Hall. Like I said, we're taking a different approach, but number one, it means Tino has to stay, and we need some serious upgrade in the left back area, in my opinion. Big up to you, Rich. Thanks for dropping by, sir. Man United seem to be trying to keep info in-house. I don't think there's a lots of info out there. Journalists are speculating. There's a lot of speculation. Absolutely. So yeah, that's like I said, we're not going to get the full picture, but that's where things are at the moment. Like I said, my hope and prayer is that, especially in the left and right hand side, fullbacks of the ilk of Tino and Hall, it'd be great if they both stay, but at least to have that profile there, and hybrid right-sided, left-sided defenders in the profile of Joshua Achampong and Dea Matali. To have those two profiles on our left and right hand side as a combination is an overall upgrade, right? It's not an individual upgrade, but it's an overall upgrade on what we had in previous seasons. So I'll be there. The centre back area, Botman, Byrne, Shaw, and Chow is settled at the moment. It'll be even more settled if we get those two profiles that I was talking about for the fullback areas. It will be the last time I expect that we'll see Dan Byrne in the left-hand side, for instance, which would be, I think, would be relief to Dan Byrne, to be honest. Now, finally, the goalkeeping area, and we spoke about this as well. At this moment in time, obviously, Roddy has left. Keith Gillespie, not Keith, the Gillespie staying, but those are like fifth and sixth choice keepers. Let's keep it to the main guys, right? Pope's contract has run out because it's June the 1st, right? So really, technically, Pope is no longer a Newcastle player, as far as I know. Let me just double check that. On the old capology. Nick Pope. Okay, June the 30th. Excuse me. So his contract runs out on June the 30th. So Pope's contract runs out in 26 days. Pope's contract runs out in 26 days. And we haven't heard, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't heard any updates on Pope. We've heard it on Shaw, but we have not heard it on Pope. So either way, it's not expected for Pope to be number one next season. We are looking to upgrade that position for sure. But I think whether Pope stays or not, will have an impact on the goalkeeping department in general. But he's the only viable goalkeeper we have at this moment in time. James Trafford, obviously, is apparently Newcastle are a leading contender. If you listen to Graham Bailey, I am skeptical on that news, just because it's been very consistent that Newcastle are not looking at James Trafford anymore, just from Newcastle's point of view, but also from James Trafford's camp. All you hear is connections to Aston Villa and to Chelsea, I want to say. Although I'll be very, very pleasantly surprised and happily surprised, and I'll be overjoyed if Mr. James Trafford was to join Newcastle United. Then obviously we've got Yuan Joan. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. who is there, coming from the second from league, the second division of the French second division. He's, even if he were to come in tomorrow, he's not expected to be number one. Even if we kept Pope and got Yuan Joan, that would not be an upgrade for Newcastle. It's not the upgrade that I would seek as a fan. I'm sure Mr. Joan is very talented. Like I said, Tom Talks Toon gave a really, really good, exceptional scouting profile on him, which I hope to read at some point on this show. But I hope that we don't go into the season in that way, with a Pope and a goalkeeper who's never even played in the French first division as a first team goalkeeper. But if it's not James Trafford, I don't think it's going to be Verbruggen, because I think there's other teams who can pay higher wages for Bruggen who are in for him. Who is it going to be? But the goalkeeping department is where the real money needs to be spent, in my opinion. James says, I'm not sure with Nick Pope if we're going to keep him. I'm very confused. So am I. James. It seems that we're not happy with the keeper. It's finding that keeper to replace Ramsdale and Pope style player. Yeah, to have the mix of the two. Someone who's great with their feet, but also is great at saving shots and collecting aerial balls, and just being a goalkeeper, the traditional goalkeeper at the same time. I don't think I keep on going back to the Spanish second division, but I don't think we're going to the second Spanish. I don't know how many emerging talents you can get from the goalkeeping area, but I think that'd be dangerous for me, in my opinion. So, especially in the forward line and the goalkeeping area, I'm looking for real upgrades. So that's where we are at the moment, guys. It's an emerging picture. The murkiest at the moment is the goalkeeping department for me. It's not clear at all what's going to happen. Is Pope going to stay? Is he going to go? If he does go, then we literally have nobody. So, I obviously I do believe we're going to get replacements in for sure. It just seems to be like literally it's verging on a whole, an entire overhaul in a goalkeeping department at the moment for me. Defensive line, as I mentioned, there's something that I would like: fullbacks, hybrids, right-sided, left-sided players. Whether we get that, I'm not sure. Who stays? Is it Hall or is it Tino? That's going to be a big picture. That's going to be a big situation. It's important if Hall stays that he gets someone to rotate with. I said I hope it's someone of the profile of a Dave Matali. I think that'll be important for us. Same thing for Tino. If Tino stays and Hall was to go, then I hope it's a Joshua Achampong type of profile who can go on that side as well. So, but that it's the CB the CBs are pretty solid. They're locked in. So the defensive line is a lot more solid, way more solid than the goalkeeping line. Similar with the midfield. Like I said, I believe that Willock is pretty much gone, and I'm hoping for a I'm hoping of a game changing upgrade in the form of a Lamine Kamara type of player, or Lamine Kamara himself would be great. But there's also the potential that Mr. Tonali can go for a lot of money if that were to happen. I wouldn't want him to go, but there's that potential. Obviously, if City get frustrated with Forest and the whole Anderson situation, they could come to us with 90 million for Tonali, and I think that Newcastle would allow that deal to happen. So therefore, Newcastle will need two midfielders, and who do you replace Tonali with on top of who you replace Willock with? Would be a big task in itself. I hope it's a Curtis Jones type of player, like a Chema Anders, for instance. I'll be really happy with that, but we'll see. Forward line, again, another emerging picture. We're going to be doing some scouting profiles in a minute on Viktor Munoz and Mr. Musa. So we'll keep that one open. But me personally, I really want to see an upgrade in terms of the centre forward line. But at this moment in time, I don't. It doesn't. It's very unclear at the moment if we're going to get that. I would be. It would. I want to say. I don't want to say worried because we're way too early in the transfer window. But I hope that we take some serious thought about getting a striker, that a proper centre forward in. I hope that we make a serious effort to do that. That'd be my wish. So, lots to do for Mr. Wilson. Lots to do. All right, so let's get into scouts and profiles. Let's talk about these players, and it's good. So we're going to be talking about the forward line. You guys can decide for me and let me know. Maybe I'm overstating. Maybe my concerns are a little bit too high octane. And apologies, I couldn't get a single picture of Anis Moussa. But Anis Moussa, we're not looking at Zadok Johanna. We're looking at Anis Moussa. And Newcastle are said to be closely monitoring Anis Moussa. Sasha Tavaleri has come with that story today. So let's find out who. Thanks, James. Let's find out who Yanis Moussa is. Right. So let me get some water, because maybe these might be the guys. And I think when we're looking at these guys, we're looking, can what they're doing in their respective leagues translate, hopefully fairly quickly, in the Premier League. Right, so Anis Hadj Moussa, 24 years old. He turns 25 in February. So he's an older attacker to the players who've been linked to so far. Your Munoz who's about 21, 22, I think. Your Zadok, who's 18, for instance, right? He was born in France. He's got Algerian and French citizenship. He represents Algeria. He's 5'9", so he's not the tallest. His main position is an inverted right winger. So he's heavily left-footed. We're going to be talking about that left foot of his. And he also plays in the attacking midfield area at times as well. He has been playing for Feyenoord since 2024 in the Eredivisie. Before that, playing for Vitesse on loan, as well as Patro Izdan as well. So not any kind of level or close to the style of play, in my opinion, in terms of the Premier League, for instance. But that's his background in a nutshell. But also here, if you look at his playing career, starting from 2016 and going up for, obviously, from a lot of French teams, Torcy, Lens, before getting into eventually to the Eredivisie. get into to Belgian leagues and then into the Eredivisie before getting into the top teams there with Feyenoord and becoming a big player there. So he's really kind of worked his way through Eredivisie, the Belgian league, and obviously through the French league, excuse me, the Eredivisie into the from the French to the Belgian to the no, it's from the French to the Belgian to the Eredivisie itself. And in this year, he has done very well. Let me just take that off for just a minute. He has played 30 games this season, 8 in the Europa, 2 in the Champions League. Overall, he's got 14 goals in all competitions, 11 of them in Eredivisie, with 7 assists, 6 of them in Eredivisie itself. So he's had a 21 goal contributions, playing overall 3,354 minutes, which is a good return and shows his robustness as well, which is very good. Is available, and that is always important. You can see from his heat map, there's a lot of play in the flanks here on the right hand side areas, but floating in on into the half spaces in front of the penalty box, and a lot of deep heat here in the penalty box itself. Hence inverted winger profile. His injury record is impressive. Not many injuries since he's the most he's missed is 3 games or 20 days with a groin injury. After that, it's again 2 games and a couple 1 games as well. And that's a player that's about 20-25. That's a very impressive injury record, in my opinion. There isn't any recurrent injuries either to his groin or to anywhere else. So he's robust. He's available. We've seen that in the season as well. So that's good. He is currently on, including bonuses, 18,846 euros per week. So that probably works out to about between 12 and 15k. So Newcastle can double, even triple his wages, and that won't hurt our SCR, and that would make him very happy. If you can imagine your wages getting tripled, you'd be very happy too. So again, low cost, higher risk, but low cost. And that seems to be the theme for Newcastle at the moment in the players that they're looking at. And his contract runs out in 2030. So if you're Feyenoord, you've got some wiggle room in terms of negotiations. So scouting report. And this is from big up to Total Football Analysis and Feyenoord Technical Registry. And this scouting report is taken from 2024 to 2026. So you get a phase analysis of him there. The meteoric path of the Algeria's wing air. So the raw Dutch breakout. This is from the time when he was at Vitesse in early 2024. And the analysis then was arriving in the Eredivisie on loan at Vitesse from Patrick Eisden. Hadj Moussa quickly became an instant highlight reel. His style was instantly recognized as a pure isolation threat, a left-footed right winger who loved taking fullbacks on in the high-risk one-on-one duels. And we don't have enough of that at the moment. Gordon was the main output for that. While his flair was undeniable, his direct output was raw, and initial assessments flagged major structural requirements regarding his defensive work rate and tactical adaptations. So let's hope those areas were developed in the coming years. And phase 2, this is from the Rotterdam integration, so Feyenoord. This is from Total Football Analysis. This is looking at 24-25 season, which is last year. So securing a permanent transfer to Feyenoord until 2029, Hadj Moussa adjusted rapidly to elite pressure. So that could be a sign of maybe if he's able to adjust that quickly, hopefully we're able to see that in the Premier League as well. So making significant waves of goal-scoring performances against the major European giants like Manchester City in the Champions League. This phase saw him integrated into high possession tactical systems. Technical evaluations highlighted structural adjustments under the coaching staff, focusing on his spatial understanding and refining when to release the ball rather than constantly forcing solo dribbles. So it looks like Feyenoord really worked on his ability and to help him work in a structured team, and I think that paid off because in 2026, again, Total Football Analysis report, he became a verified threat. So nearing the close of 25-26 campaign, which is obviously the season just gone, Hadj Moussa has fully established himself as among the most explosive wide attackers operating outside the Europe's top 5 leagues, now regularly featuring as the natural successor to a national captain, Riyad Mahrez. So that's very, very that he's seen as that. We know how exceptional Riyad Mahrez was for the Algerian national team. His game was transformed from erratic flair to genuine final third value, fusing highly effective short space acceleration with refining finishing. He has positioned himself at the center of top tier Premier League and La Liga transfer radars. That's interesting. So, key attributes is an inverted attacking directness. He's a classic modern inside forward who aggressively commands the right flank. He relies heavily on cutting sharply inside his left foot to unlock shooting lanes or progressive passing lanes. And that skill is very, very high sought after. He's a high volume dribbling execution. He ranks in elite categories for dribbles and shot creation. He uses incredible close control and tight configurations to bypass his marker and create attacking advantages. He's got elite phase acceleration, possesses a devastating change of pace and high volume of quick accelerations, making him exceptionally dangerous in both high position setups and vertical transition counterattacks, which is what Newcastle are trying to do both at the same time there. They're trying to be both high possession and vertical transition attacks as well. So that's really helpful that he's got that. And he's got an evolving creative vision. So it shows expanding tactical foresight. Once he beats his initial marker, he has shown an increasing capacity to spot line breaking cutbacks and dangerous crosses into the box. So that's a developing attribute for him. So as mentioned, his key strengths are elite dribbling, output turn frequency, so translating dribbles into shots, high transition ceiling, internal pedigree, so verified regular contributor to the Algerian national stage. So he does play at a good level with Algeria. Cons: defensive transition. There's a historical tendency to drop off in defensive tracking, which Eddie Howe would not stand for, and Newcastle would really suffer if we didn't have tracking, if we didn't have forward that didn't track back. He is left foot dominant. He's extremely left foot reliant. That can make him predictable, and in the Premier League, that's dangerous. Pass volume consistency. He's below average overall in his passing accuracy due to direct style, and it can be a little bit too individualistic in nature. So sometimes doesn't pass the ball. So the verdict: Anis Hadj Moussa represents a highly explosive modern inside forward with rare flair ceiling. By effectively working to filter out his defensive transitional weaknesses and finding a balance between the individualistic dribbling and team playmaking, he has developed into an elite level attacking asset. His combination of technical set control and rapid execution ensures his trajectory is firmly pointed towards a marquee starring role in the top 5 Premier European leagues in the immediate future. So he's got a high ceiling there. And you can see from this is from 24 season in the 25 season. So 24-25 season is in the green, and the 25-26 season is in the pink. So he's been consistent. You can see that. I want to add though, I didn't get the sorry. This is Feyenoord's metrics, right? So, and you can see that they've been consistent, in terms of being a real dominant team in possession, attack. So he plays for a possession dominant team who have the ability to counter very quickly as well. So they've got that balance in the Eredivisie. This is what Newcastle are trying to get. They've got a lot of physicality and presence. So he plays for a team that's very, very dominant. He's not necessarily going to experience that in the Premier League. So it's interesting how he reacts to that. And what you can see here, the pink radar is 24-25 season, and the blue radar is this season 25-26. And you can see already what's consistent is his ball carrying dribbles. Both of them are at an extreme elite level in the 90 plus percentiles. So that's his point, really good, as well as non-penalty goals XG. But what you've seen also is a development in his crossing, his key passes, so passes that lead to shots, is also now gone into an elite level status, assists, and non-penalty goals. So you can see that he's really honed in and developed that. Hence why he's come to the attention of Newcastle United. And we'll look at some highlights of him in the moment. But I'll be curious to know if you guys have heard of him. What's your thoughts on him? I'll be curious to know. Let me just set up his highlights and get to see what you guys make of him. It's interesting that Newcastle have been looking at players like him, players that are who are dribblers, who are really, really good in one-on-ones, who are really, really good in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? Who are really good in isolating their fullbacks and dominating in that way their side. So that's quite similar to Munoz, who we'll talk about in a moment. And you can see that's what they've lacked. And obviously, with Gordon gone, we are going to be missing that creative outlet. And you need players like Anis to try and fill that gap. And really, he's going to be playing on the right-hand side. Again, if he comes, what's going to happen to Ilanga and I don't mean like, what's going to happen to them? They're not going to get opportunities. I think it's good. That competition is going to hopefully help them, or they could get sold. James says he's definitely an interesting player. I haven't yet seen this goal in the friendly that I was told was pretty awesome. It was I have a chance to look at it. Matthew, good to see you, my man. God bless you. He says, hello, Philip. Excuse me. Hello, Philip. I just hopped on and I have to say the B Toure is a no-no for me. Let me know why, because I said at the beginning of the show, Matthew, that I'm a little bit hesitant on him, but I'll be really, really I too shared similar thoughts. Okay, so let's have a look at Mr. Anis. Let's get a look at him again. Big up Brazil Scout. Interestingly, Brazil Scout have made 2 videos on Anis, and this one's 17 minutes long. I haven't seen a player just yet who's got 17 minutes. So you can tell that Brazil Scout really enjoyed watching him. So let's have a look. Is it playing? Hey man, you better be playing. Yeah, you are. Right, so 5'9", will be 25 in February. Second season in final, Algerian international. Whoops, there straight away you can see his dribbling. You can see the acceleration. Lovely reverse pass as well. Great goal again. Those cutbacks are a big thing for him. Again, you can see he's got that body shift, that feint in him as well. Again, lovely take on there as well. Lovely reverse pass. And you can see whatever his early days were that we heard especially from that 2024 season, where the end product wasn't there. Yes, he's got the raw skills and talent in terms of dribbling, but the end product was, oh, look at that little juggling of the ball as well. That's definitely changed. You can see that from the cutbacks, the reverse passings he's making. You can see that in the metrics that he's got, as well as the assists. I forgot how many assists he's got this season, but it's been quite, I think it's about 7 or 8. I think 7. But also another nutmeg there, bursting through the middle. But you also see that in his metrics for shots, shot creating actions, expected assists. You can see that him there running beyond the lines. That's him with his right foot there. He should have finished that guy. Pressing up high, winning the ball, first time ball, no, well, second time on the second touch there, but really impressive again. Lovely finish. Yeah, we don't have someone currently in our forward line who can shift his body the way he can. He can dribble the way he can at the moment. And I like the fact that he takes up central areas there. Lovely there, again, working through the middle. As someone who can create these type of moments would be really, really good at Newcastle. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do take up a 4-2-3-1 role. Yes, you can see him profiting as a right-sided winger there, or inverted winger. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing as a diamond, as the tip of the diamond in the middle. So you've got a pivot of Kamara, hopefully Kamara. I'm speaking it into existence of a Kamara and Miley with Mr. Anis at the tip of that diamond, visibility and his creativity. I think would be really, really with runners like Elanga, Barnes, and others on different areas and behind. I think would be really interested as well. But again, here taking this man with using his right foot. They said in the reports that he's extremely left-footed, and obviously most of the highlights that we see is him using his left foot. But there's been a few crosses here. Lovely check. Where he's using his right foot. You also see his acceleration as well. You can see that he can win you fouls. He's looking for runners and beyond. You can do that all day playing for Newcastle. He missed. Oh, goodness gracious. Again, he loves a nutmeg. Goodness gracious me. Again, impressive technical skills. Again, with his right foot, lovely, unlucky. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely a good technical flaw, but not but. Again, I'm always wondering how does that translate into the Premier League, which would be the question for literally most of the players that Newcastle United have so far been linked to. But I want to know from you guys, would you be taking him? Matt Lou says, okay, oh, that's for the, yeah, I've got him unblocked. Matt Lou says, I feel I'm just not convinced every time I watch him. He seems to, that's for Torre. He seems predictable, and he also gets caught up in his thoughts when he has the ball in his feet, just like Elanga does at times. Fair play. Fair play. Sounds like I've seen him a lot more times than I have. James says, I like him a lot. I think it's Anis. But I would rather take someone who else is known and then building them up. If he's Meridian, his prime, that's my concern. I hear you. I hear you. It makes sense. Would I take him? I'd love to take a player like him. He is different to what we have. I would take him. The risk would be, how does this translate to the Premier League? That would be the big risk. How does this translate to the Premier League? Will this turn our forward line into a top 6, top 4 forward line? That'll be the big question. But yeah, Let's talk about Munoz as well, who apparently Newcastle put a bid in for. Munoz, it says he's got him in his Real Madrid kit here, but he does play for Osasuna. He was sold to them by Real Madrid, but he is a Real Madrid academy player, former academy player as well. So Newcastle United, if you listen to El Tringruto TV, Newcastle have offered a bid of 35 million euros plus bonuses for Viktor Munoz, who's 22 years old. And it's good to hear this last line at the bottom here. It says the player would be open to the idea of joining the club. That is good news if it happens to be true. Now, Victor, as said, is 22. He will turn 23 this July. He's born in Spain, in Madrid, a la Madrid. He is 5'9", again, like Yanis, actually. His main position is right winger. Somebody else let me know about it. I think James did. But other positions are left wing. Now, how it's been advertised by journalists and others is that he's seen as the replacement to Gordon on that left wing for Newcastle. But it's important to note that he's got that versatility. Current club, Real Madrid Castilla or affiliated system. That's interesting. I think it's Osasuna, but let's see what that means. I took off his capology. Let me just, I didn't include his capology, his current wage. Let me just confirm that with you guys while I'm there, if I can. I think I went straight into it. I didn't get time to research it. But let's see, Munoz. Munoz. What's your name, Munoz? Viktor Munoz. I forgot his first name for a minute. Let's get his wage. Viktor Munoz. He's not there. I can't get it, guys. I can't find it. I don't expect for it to be a lot. Put it this way. I don't expect it to be a lot, considering where he's playing. We'll find out another time. Remind me to find out for you guys. Now, Viktor Munoz is... this is from Cognia Sports Tactical Analysis staff. This is from 2024 to 2026, so you get some good phase analysis there, guys. And again, thank you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing. Progression timeline, the trajectory of a high-speed, deep-lying winger, so different to Anis, who's an inverted winger. So phase one, the tactical framework, the academy foundation. And this is from the Cognia Sports Registry 2024. So early positional tracking identified Munoz as an incredibly disciplined wide player within a structured possession system, which you'd expect for someone from a Real Madrid background. Unlike traditional wingers who demand the ball strictly to feet, his baseline data supported an elite understanding of space creation. Eddie Howe would love that. He excelled at reading structural defensive lines and knowing exactly when to freeze fullbacks to pull apart opposition shape. So he's a good shape disruptor. That would be really good for Newcastle. The vertical breakthrough. So this is 25 season. So the analysis saw Munoz master the specific role of a deep lying winger. So our tactical breakdowns highlighted his unique combination of a lower starting position paired with explosive vertical acceleration. Instead of lingering high up on the pitch where space is heavily restricted, he learned to drop deeper into the midfield, so creating overloads, into the middle third before exploding forward into vacant zones, rendering him incredibly difficult for low block defenses to track or mark. Sounds very similar to Gordon. Sounds very, very similar to Gordon. Phase 3, the modern multifunctional threat. This is from Global Scouting Network and Technical Index. This is May 2026. So this is the last phase here. So moving into summer 2026, Munoz has fully refined his niche as an elite transitional asset. His developments have seen him add a sharp creative edge to his blinding speed. He has evolved into a highly flexible structural piece who can pin opposing left backs deep or shift into a secondary line breaking duties. That's Gordon. His high intensity tactical intelligence has placed him firmly on the radar of top flight clubs looking for hyper modern wide ammunition. There's a different profile to Alice, for instance, which you need, and more close to Gordon. Key attributes: blinding vertical speed, possesses a devastating electric acceleration curve. His top end speed allows him to effortlessly exploit space behind an opponent's defensive line. Deep line attack is also other strength is deep line attacking position, thrives by initiating his attack and runs from deep midfield lines rather than static high positions. Intelligent width maintenance, he's a master at keeping the touchline pinned. He naturally stretches opposition backlines horizontally, creating massive internal gaps for underlapping midfielders to exploit. These sounds very like tactically intelligent. He is a dynamic transition driver. He acts as a primary outlet during defensive to offensive transitions, using progressive carries to advance his side up the pitch in mere seconds. No wonder Newcastle are looking at him. So strengths. He's got a elite speed and acceleration, tactical flexibility, space creation, dragging defenders out of position and to open passing lanes, and he provides a direct transition threat. Weaknesses: tight space overload, can occasionally struggle when isolated in highly congested narrow zones. He lacks aerial dominance, physical frame. He needs to continue building his upper body to withstand aggressive physical challenges. Again, when we're thinking about that transition to the Premier League, this here, if that's the situation now in Spain, is going to get amplified in the Premier League. Defensive volume, high speed attacking, focus leaves room to increase defensive volume. High speed attacking focus leaves room to increase deep defensive tracking metrics. High speed attacking focus leaves room to deep defensive tracking metrics. I don't know what that means. If anybody in the chat knows, let me know. So the verdict on him, the verdict is that Viktor Munoz is a tactically fascinating, hyper-vertical wide forward who offers a unique solution to breaking down modern defensive shapes. By brilliantly operating as a deep line winger, he combines elite explosive acceleration with supreme positional discipline to systematically tear apart defensive lines from deep. Anthony Gordon. Whilst he must continue to expand his comfort levels in highly congested central zones, his brilliant tactical foundation ensures he projects as a premier-wide weapon for any high possession or transition-heavy European side. Newcastle United. So that sounds pretty impressive what we're hearing there about him. Let's look at his tactical metrics, before we look at his before we look at his highlights. I'll read the chat in a moment as well. So he probably is a forward, right? Yeah, he's probably a forward. Let's see if he comes up on here. Remember, he's 22 years old. Viktor Munoz, 22 years old. I want to get his career. I didn't get a chance to put it on the thing before we get his match. So Viktor Munoz currently plays for Osasuna. Let me show you guys. Can you guys see that? You can. Excuse me. Right, so career. So this year he's played 2,764 minutes, which is good. 36 games, 7 goals, 5 assists. So that's pretty healthy in terms of balance. So that's 12. That's a 12 goal contribution. Before that, he was playing at Real Madrid. it looks like he played a lot more games at Real Madrid in the 24-25 season. Though I think that must be the other affiliated to Madrid. That's not the Real Madrid. Where in that season, the Primera Federación, he got 17 goal contributions there. So let's look at his heat map. Okay, so you can see already here, this is from this year. He played a lot more on the left side than he did on the right. But you can see this is very different for a winger. You can see a lot of heat maps, and they talked about his deep line, him dropping in deep and driving with the ball in central areas into these half spaces here. And make sure you guys capture this because I think this is important. You see that a lot more for him compared to what you typically see for other wingers. For a winger, he can play fairly centrally as well, and gets himself into the penalty box really, really well. I'll be curious to see what Osasuna got in terms of what kind of team there are as well before we look at his stats, because if he manages to get that for a team that maybe isn't as dominant, that's pretty impressive in itself, in my opinion. Where did Osasuna finish? Osasuna. Here we go. They finished 4th from bottom. So he sounds like he was the main creative force for them. Let me see if I can get their metrics up. If this guy is dropping in like that into those half spaces and dragging his feet, that's very impressive for a team, playing for a team that's not ball dominant like Feyenoord were for Anis. So this is Osasuna's metrics, right? Jeez Louise. And this is the metrics of a team that's 4th from bottom. They don't have any outstanding qualities. A low percentiles for everything. The highest percentile they got is defending. They're having to do a lot of defending. They're not really even that good at counter-attacking, to be honest, but they're doing a lot of defending. So I'll be curious to know how they play, really. But they're 4th from bottom, not a dominant team whatsoever, like Feyenoord are, where Anis played. So the fact that he got 12 goals for them, 12 a GA for them. He's on the left flank. He's on the right flank. He's dropping in deep to collect that ball. He's getting into the half space. He's getting into the penalty box. Is very, very impressive. If you put all these things into considerations, it's very, very impressive. And if you look at his metrics, make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. So if you look at his metrics, it's even more impressive. So what's more impressive is that remember what you just saw in Osasuna. No outstanding metrics for anything apart from defending. That's not even the outstanding. It's at the 50 percentile. Everything else is 20, 30 percentile. Physicality, attacking, goals, everything, right? And this kid is getting, for carries and dribbles, he's in the elite. He's elite at progressive carries, 92 percentile. He's getting into the elite levels for dribbles completed in the 89 percentile. He is the source of everything creative for this team. Crosses, for a team that barely gets up the pitch, crosses completed is in the 77 completed percentile. It would be higher if Osasuna were a better team. I think his non-penalty goals would be higher if he was playing for a deep team. His key passes would be higher as well. So there's a lot there to suggest and to like about him, to suggest that these stats where it's quite low in key passes, assists, and non-penalty goals XG, if you play for a more either a more possession-based team or a physically and intensely imposing team like a Newcastle, these other areas will be higher. And I think he will definitely maintain his dribbles and carrying. So it's quite impressive considering where he plays for, who he plays for, that he gets the stats that he gets. And you can see why, even just from hearing about him from the scouting report, he shares similarities with Gordon. His acceleration, his running, his ability to pick up the ball in those central areas from deep and to drive with it. So he's probably, there's a lot to like about him. He's not as tall as Gordon, as physically imposing as him. And in fact, physicality is something that he's got to work on, which, if anybody knows Eddie Howe, he could turn the boy into a beast. And thankfully, Brazil's scout have got some interesting highlights on him. So let me make sure I can share the screen with you guys. Can you guys see that? I think you can. Let me just double check that. Yeah, you can. So before we get into that, let me just read your comments and see what you guys are saying. Thanks for those that are sticking with me past midnight. God bless you guys. Thank you for those that are liking, for everybody that's liking, sharing, subscribing. We've got 1,000 subscribers because of you guys. James says the Roberto De Zerbi. What did I miss? Okay, sorry. The Roberto De Zerbi really likes Bruno. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me when he played well. They're trying to flirt with Bruno. Yeah, I don't see that happening. James says against his French team in Champions League. Okay, that's yeah, against Marseille, yeah. Thanks for that, James. He earns 20K a month for Munoz, but his contract will be up till 20K a month or a week. That's very, very low for 20K a month. But thanks for researching that, James. I nearly called you Munoz. How out crew, good to see you. God bless you. He says, Howe said recently, my role will be to identify players to sign. It doesn't look like it though. Why doesn't it look like it? How out crew? Let me know. Why does it not look like it? All right, so let's look at Mr. Viktor Munoz. I'm keen to see how he plays because I'm really impressed by his scouting report. I'm really impressed that so if you look at, this is interesting. Brazil scout compare him to Gio Simone and Afonso Moreira. If you guys remember Afonso Moreira, we looked at him before. I really like Afonso Moreira. Though to me, he's more of a wide playmaker. And Ernest Poku, the young player from Bayer Leverkusen. Attributes: pressing, dynamism, crossing, determination, stamina, acceleration. Yeah, there's a lot of similarity. Like I said, plays for a team in Osasuna that are not dominant on the ball, not dominant in anything. And he's the one that's dragging them out of absolute oblivion in terms of progressive carries, dribbling, crossing, doing everything. I'll be surprised if there's anybody, and getting it to an elite stat level as well, which I think is very, very impressive. And I think increasingly we're looking at these type of gems in the market. Again, you can see him there in the central area. That's a fantastic goal. We got to rewind that. Sorry, I've got to see that one again. Where can I slow it down? Sleep timer, playback speed. Let me just slow that down a little bit because that was quick. And this is the part that we're literally talking about. He must have dropped in again into that midfield area, into those central parts there, collected the ball, and is now has now driven with it. Nice shift of the pace there. He's got the confidence to take it on with his right foot. Bang. That is very, very impressive. To see that, and this is where his goals and assists, and he's having to do those type of things because his team isn't that dominant. Again, on the right side, this time on the flank area, pace, power, lovely trickery as well through the legs again, really quick. Turn, half speed, back to goal, lovely. Really, really lovely work there. First time, geez, lovely goal. Goalkeeper should have got that though. Strong, were the talent challenges there pretty well. But we do keep in mind the physicality element of it. Lovely trickery there again, driving into the space. I do want him to see a little bit more of him looking up in these highlights and seeing the pass. That there are runners around him, but again, this is where you can see. This is why his carries are so elite at such elite levels. Again, driving at the midfield, he's trying to get onto the inside. That more of that, please. Driving, collecting the ball. Yeah, more of that. More of those type of passes. I want to see that. This time on the right hand side, first time or second time. Remember, he earned his bones playing on the right hand side, so hopefully he can stir something up for Elanga and Murphy if he was to play in those type of areas there. Again, look at him. This is the part that we talked about in the scouting report. Is him dropping in, providing that central overload. The player was too slow to get to him, so he's provide that overload, turns around and goes, and that changes everything in their attack, except for Osasuna aren't good enough to do anything with it there. Picking up space in the penalty box, good header, 5'9", not too bad. Okay, lovely drive back there, picking it up again, driving with it. There's a player next to him. I hope he passes it there. Oof, right hand side again. Yeah, he's got that acceleration. That's really, really. See him taking on with his right foot there rather than his left foot. That's interesting. I hope that's not a sign for thing. He kind of because he's. I hope he can use his left foot. Basically, I think he can. You see him on the right hand. When he's on the right hand side, he's a lot more open to taking crosses. Lovely through ball there as well. Collects it. Inside pass. Not too bad. Lovely shift of pace as well. Really good. Let me know what you guys think of him. Who would you take? If you had a choice, would it be Munoz or would it be what's the gentleman's name? Hadj. No, not Hadj. Excuse me. Anis Hadj Moussa. James says I do agree. How crew? Okay, talking to how crew. Sorry. It says just don't seem like Howless players. I don't know. I think if we've just seen Mr. Viktor Munoz, and I think he says he shares some similarities to Gordon. In my opinion, he shares a lot of similarities to Gordon. Matt Lou says they seem like it to me. They seem like it to me. Most of them are runners besides the Nusa and Musa. I think in terms of profile, I think these are Eddie Howe players. I audited myself there. What do you call it? Silenced myself there. I agree. I think there are a lot more Howe players than people suspect. How Cruz says, I'd imagine Howe list would be Gibson White for 80 million rather than a Munoz. I hear you. I think that's just a narrative that's been allowed to dominate the media, in my opinion. Matt Lou says, my question is, how do we fit Big Nick with these fast lads? That's a fantastic question. And that's a brilliant question. And this is what I'm talking about, that ultimately he's not the final solution because he hasn't got the pace to get out front. The only other way I can see it is when we go into that 4-2-3-1 with the two pivots at the back and we can slow the play down a little bit and give him that opportunity. So more of a structured build-up that gives him the opportunity to get into the box. But even then, Matt Lou, in my opinion, he's not in pace with that game. With the game, I encourage people on Tuesday. If you go on the Newcastle website, you can see Newcastle's full games. If you have a look at the Newcastle's game against West Ham at St James's Park, he's playing alongside Jacob Ramsey. And when I talk about the pace of the game, him and Jacob Ramsey are kind of doing a similar role, playing in a central attacking area together. And their role is also to help sometimes build up with the structure as well as, and then get into the attacking positions as well. And Ramsey was fantastic at it. Voldemort not so. And when you're looking at who's keeping up with the pace of the game, it stands out more when you see Voldemort and Ramsey together. So, yeah, to answer to your question is he's not going to keep up with them. He's not going to keep up with them. So the solution would be to either continue playing as an 8, where he's okay, but he's not the standard that we need essentially in those positions. So yeah, big question mark basically, Matt Lou. James says Hadji, but I'll take the Swedish Beju. Oh, the Nigerian. Okay. So you take Anis. Okay, interesting. I think I'll take Viktor Munoz. I like him. I like Viktor Munoz. I like his pedigree. And I can see a lot more development under Howe and obviously Barnes from him as well. But yeah, well, folks, we've had a great show. I think we started off the show by talking about as much of all the multiple transfer news, covering from forwards to midfielders to centre backs, trying to understand the emerging picture, which appears to be hidden gems or gems in either top 5, top 7 leagues outside the Prem, who have a low cost, potentially higher risk, but also higher reward potentially. And it's quite different. Then we talk in terms of what we're kind of used to in terms of the players that we typically get. You can assume, but a lot of opportunity for Pahal and the staff to develop players. I then gave my kind of overview, the strategic overview of how the picture is developing for our squad, looking at the forward line, the midfield line, the defensive line, and the goalkeeper line, taking into account the fact that it's still very early. Like I said, my hope, I got a number of hopes, but my main hopes are that we would get actual, not maintenance, not replacement, but actual upgrades in the goalkeeping area, in the midfield area, and especially in the striking area. The big special ones are the goalkeeper and striker for me. We'll see if that happens. I am hoping for in the defensive line to have a mix of profiles in the left and right hand side of our area of our defensive line, so fullbacks and right-sided and left-sided defenders, so hybrids of the profile of a Joshua Achimpong or a Dea Matali types. I'll be really happy with that. We've got some open questions if the likes of Hall or Tino will stay as well, so we're taking those things into consideration. But it's a building picture. I think the overall picture is Mr. Wilson is very, very busy putting in bids, selling players, and he's already having an impact. I like what he's doing so far. My hope is though that I get the fact that we're getting players outside the league. There is a higher risk because you're going to try to find out if those talents can translate into the Premier League, though the consequences are a little bit lower risk because you're paying them less wages, and the financial aspect from it, they're cheaper. A lot of the players that we've looked at are like 30 million euros, 35 million euros. Release clauses as low as 15 million euros if you're looking at Salinas. But they're going to be players that are going to need a lot of nurture, a lot of care, a lot of time to prepare and develop. They're not going to hit the ground. None of these players that we've talked about today are going to hit the ground running. None of them. So what does that mean for kind of the team going forward? And that's why for me, like the goalkeeping, I don't mind those players so long as the goalkeeper is plug and play, like a James and Trafford, and the striker, if we can get that in. But we'll see. Then we did scouting profiles for Viktor Munoz and for Anis. Decent players for sure. I was a little bit more impressed with Viktor Munoz. I wouldn't mind him, especially he can develop under Howe, playing under Barnes as well. I think that would be really, really good. But again, both players come with risk. Both players come with risk because they're not playing in leagues that are as intensive or as high in quality as the Premier League, in my point of view, and where taking the risk of seeing if those talents can translate. We've been good at that in the past, and hopefully we'll be good at that in the present and in the future too. But again, also I want to celebrate that we've got 1,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys, been absolutely phenomenal getting us over the line. I want to kind of have a deep gratitude for that, and let's go get on to the next one as well. And let's get into 2,000. But I want to wish you guys a fantastic evening, morning, day, whatever you're doing. Make sure you look after each other. And as always, folks, take care. God bless.